Hello everyone, welcome back to the Game Brigade. My name is Brian. Thank you for joining me. Today we are talking about year in review for me here at Game Brigade. I am going to just talk about my channel, things that have occurred, and kind of go from there in terms of overall achievements and stats. So if you are looking for more information about myself and the channel and how we've done the past year, stay tuned for that. Okay, so we are coming into the end of the year. It's December. We've had a lot of good moments this year, and I've kind of gone through sort of a roller coaster with my emotions with this channel. So let's talk about it. So as of right now, we have gained in the past year 1,595 subscribers. That is up, I would say, about 500 to 700 subscribers from year to year. So that's good. We're seeing a positive growth on the channel in terms of subscriber growth. We had a massive day. I'm not quite sure what happened on May 4th. That was probably my collaboration with Quackalope, where we had a good jump of subscribers, but then we lost some subscribers as well. So we'll talk about all of those things. In terms of views, let me see if I can do... let's see here. Sometimes let's do views, and I want to do 365. In terms of the views that we've had for this last year, we've had 278,244. So that's very, very good. And in terms of content, we had, let's see here. Impressions I always think is interesting. Click-through rate's been very, very good. So people usually like to click on my thumbnails, 5.2%. I think that's good from what I know. Yeah, so that's the raw statistics. But from there, let's kind of talk about the key moments that I've had here on the channel. And if I remember to sprinkle in some of the bad moments, I'll try my best to do that. So at the beginning of the year, we did Dice Tower West. I've talked about that. We made several videos. Several friends from my gaming group, we traveled down to Vegas, and we had a chance to play some games. And it was my first real attempt at taking Game Brigade to the next level. That was kind of my goal for this year, was I wanted to see what could become of this channel if I put more effort into this in terms of closer to full-time-ish work. Not full-time, but more time. So I decided to travel down to Dice Tower West, which gave me an opportunity to introduce myself to publishers that might be there or other content creators, so that we can put a personality and a face to my channel. And I would say that was marginally successful. It was successful in a way, but obviously Dice Tower West is more of a gaming convention, which is what you go there for. So it's not like a place where you're really meeting publishers, but I did meet a few, got my name out there, and I had a great time overall just being around other gamers. From there, I was invited by Jesse from Quackalope to stay with him for about 5 days up in Cleveland. And he invited me to stay in his house. I decided to get a hotel. And I contacted Alex because they're basically neighbors. And I wanted to know if I could also meet with him. He was going to be with Chip Theory Games. He was visiting Chip Theory Games that weekend or that week. So he wasn't going to be totally available. And so we didn't have much time to hang out. So my full time in Cleveland was going to be with Jesse. So I flew down there. It was I think a weekend, so Jesse's actually phone was turned off, so I couldn't actually contact him when I got there. So we had to wait till the next day, and he picked me up around lunchtime. And from there, it was basically business. And that was one of the things I wanted to get an idea of how a channel that was as successful as Quackalope had grown, and what Jesse does differently than what I was doing, and maybe I could learn something for myself to take home and implement. And I will say, first thing we did is we sat down in his living room and we started brainstorming ideas. I have a Google list of a bunch of video ideas that I've thought over the last years. Sometimes I film those. Sometimes they just sit in purgatory on my phone. And sometimes I get upset because I'll see someone else do a video of an idea that I've got written down. I'm like, damn it, I missed the boat. I should have done that video earlier. So I pitched a bunch of ideas to Jesse, and at the time I didn't think he was interested in them. But as we went up to film, he started just filming. It was also very weird. This was something I didn't expect. Jesse would literally just hit record on all his cameras, sit down, and then just start talking. And we're like, I don't know what the hell he's talking. I don't know where we're going. I don't know what the topic is. I don't know what we're doing. And then he would just start saying a subject. And so you have to be like on the fly, ready to respond. And as soon as that video is done, he gets up, he turns it off, he looks at his little book, hits record again, sits down, and then goes again. So we filmed like back to back to back to back in a row. And it was definitely not something I'm used to. And that's something I still have yet to learn how to take home with myself and practice, is just filming and being up to date. At that time, he told me that he was 70 some videos forward in the catalog. I'm always like, day of, like, I need to get a video out, I'm filming it the night before. So that's something I wanted to learn how to do. We had some fun videos, some that I don't think the audience quite grasped, or not grasped, accepted the way I thought they would. One of them was the 10 worst games in Jesse's collection. That one, people didn't like my ideas, and while I think that my topics or my selections in that video are warranted, they all have valid criticisms. Clearly, I picked like great games to kind of, poke fun at. But people didn't like that, and people saying, I will never subscribe to this guy because his tastes in board games are so bad. And I was like, okay, whatever. Obviously, you didn't get it, was a joke. Just having fun. So that collaboration period with Jesse was very good for me. It did raise my subscriber count significantly. And most of those videos started coming out in early May. Now, that is also right around the time when Jesse had his fallout with Into the Unknown. And Alex put a video out fairly quickly into that because he was seeing a subscriber hit from it. And he wanted to basically say, hey, I have no affiliation with Jesse. While I didn't really think much of it at the time, I was surprised at the amount of subscribers I started seeing losing as well. And I don't know if it's because people saw me just recently being the recent collaboration with Jesse. Even though I was there in February, the videos came out in May, right? Because he had that backlog already filmed. So people just started unsubscribing. So I had one of my highest subscriber growths and then one of my most unsubscribable times. And because there was a few videos that were released right around that same time, I would have people commenting on my videos like, you really should, consider who your friends are with, and just stuff that just didn't make sense. And it's like, come on, guys, I have nothing to do with Into the Unknown or what Quackalope and his business procedures are, but whatever. So after that, I also went and met with Alex. We filmed one video. He only had roughly about an hour to 2 hours to talk with me. And so I didn't really get the chance to actually, sit with Alex, but we talked on the phone not quite a bit, but often enough. So that was that. And so I was then invited by Alex to go to the Level Up Retreat. That is Alex's convention that he held in Woodbridge, Connecticut, I believe it was called. And I had a great time at the convention hall. I got to meet a lot of other content creators that I haven't had a chance to meet and be around. I got to play games like Crokinole for the first time and play games with other people that I've known for the last 4 years that I've been doing this channel. The hotel was okay. I wasn't very much in love with the hotel nor the location. It was very difficult to get food. And because there was not really food on site other than a very, very expensive hotel restaurant, I'm talking like very expensive. So I basically had to Uber Eats every meal, and it actually was like more economical to do that, surprisingly, than do anything else. But yeah, Level Up Retreat was great. And then following that, I signed up to have a press pass for Gen Con. And Gen Con was going to be my real, like, okay, you've had some practice runs now. You had Dice Tower West. You then met with Quackalope and Board Game Co. You then the Level Up Retreat. Now it's game time. Now you're going to Gen Con. You're going to meet with publishers. You're going to get your game face going. And let's get this business going. So Gen Con, I would say, was a moderate success. Not the best success that I would expect. But I was able to at least get comfortable enough to go up to people and introduce myself and start a conversation. Some of them went really well. Some of them did not go really well. Some of them led to business opportunities in the future where I was able to collaborate with a company that I didn't collaborate with before. Another one like really solidified my relationships. I met with Awaken Realms, and in Awaken Realms, and I don't have like a paid collaboration, but I had kind of, I feel like, snuck my way in with Awaken Realms a little bit. Antlab Games brought me in on a playthrough of their gameplay for Lords of Ragnarok. And I asked if I could also, if they wouldn't mind having me cover the prototype. I asked Awaken Realms, and they said, no, that's fine. We appreciate your gameplay. And so I made a prototype video. And then, a couple of videos down, they said, hey, do you mind covering ISS Vanguard? And I said, sure. And then here comes Tainted Grail. And all of a sudden I was like, oh man, I've kind of found my way into the cycle. It's kind of cool. I didn't, just kind of butted my way in, and here I am. So at Gen Con, I actually got to sit down and meet with their Awaken Realms like marketing manager and actually get to talk. And we talked for like nearly 2 hours. It was really good. It was a really good experience, and just an opportunity to meet people and be part of the business. I went to several different meetings, like AEG had a meeting, and Brotherwise had meetings. So I was like kind of feeling like, man, I'm really part of this industry. But I still listed it as moderate success because I felt like there's something I must be doing wrong on the channel side, because so many of these brands who I have covered their games, just through Should You Backs and whatever, had no idea who I was or looked at me like I was just a nobody. And maybe I am a nobody, I don't know. But it's like, man, I've covered 3 of your games that you've had on Kickstarter, just through Should You Backs alone. You haven't watched a single one of them. It's just interesting. But it's also a thing you have to remember when you're going to these conventions, that the person you're talking to, a majority of the time, doesn't even work for the company. They're just a paid volunteer, or just a volunteer rather, that is getting paid by getting a free pass into Gen Con. So I had to get better, also making sure I was trying to talk to the marketing manager and whatnot. So from there, that ended my convention run for the year. I was anticipating or thinking about going to PAX East, but I didn't have the finances to warrant another cross-continental trip. They're very expensive to fly. I flew 4 times just for the channel. So that ends like the key moments. I talked about that I had kind of a roller coaster. There was times in this channel where, I've had some very high ups and then very, very lows where, the channel will be doing well, getting good monthly view counts. It seems like my videos are resonating with my audience. And then there's times where it just doesn't resonate and things just aren't seem to be working, and you're down at like your minimum video views, and you're like, man, what am I doing wrong? What's happening here? And you start to psych yourself out. And sometimes it can get really mentally taxing. And the unfortunate thing about YouTube is if you take a break for an extended period of time, the algorithm very much punishes you by pushing you lower on the list. And so it can take up to 3 months to get that time back that you've lost. So it really incentivizes you for uploads and consistent uploads and keeping them pumping. So people like Quackalope and Alex, who posted at the time, Alex still posts about 17 videos a week. At the time, Jesse did as well. I really think in terms of our space, Dice Tower does it as well, that the algorithm really rewards in the board game space massive uploads or very, very scripted reviews that are long, like a 30 to an hour long scripted review. I think people enjoy those two things. I think that's kind of the dichotomy. But, I still like the place I am. So let's talk about that. Top videos. What have I been doing? What have I noticed in terms of the trends of what has been most popular? So surprisingly, the most popular videos I've done this year that I was really surprised about were my top 5 tips and tricks videos. I did 2 videos, both of them for Oathsworn. Just like, hey, here's some things I learned by playing this game. Maybe they'll help you if you're just getting it. And I did that because I knew the 2nd edition was arriving soon, and I wanted to give people some tips since I've been playing it for the past year. So that video did really, really well. I'm very impressed. Conversational pieces still doing great. For example, like 10 games. If I can only have 10 games, the best games I'm playing right now, those videos tend to do well. The only thing is I need to have more sometimes, I think, collection circulation. I've also slowed down in terms of the amount of games I'm bringing to my collection. So I need to make sure that I'm keeping a good circulation. Otherwise, I'll be ending up talking about the same things all the time. Other than that, Should You Backs has still been the cornerstone of my channel. It's what we started this channel with back in 2020, where we talked about the Kickstarters and going through them and talking about the value, or should we back them, or what recommendations I like. So I think those are good. We started some series this year that we've actually kind of kept with, surprisingly, knowing me. The first one is Back or Skip, where we talked about videos, what am I talking about? Campaigns that I was most interested in, and giving you my rundown. These started with me just kind of cherry picking campaigns that were just live, and it would just be a random day. It was a bi-weekly episode series where I'd be like, okay, let's talk about some videos. Not structured at all, but I was talking about campaigns that I was interested in and giving you my rundown. I decided to morph that in the last few weeks to about like 2 months ago. I started to morph that more into a weekly series of the campaigns that are ending this week. So kind of something like you launch on a Monday or Tuesday, depending on my content, and talking about the campaigns that are ending this week. What do I like and what don't I like? Now, the problem with that, there's positives and negatives to that. The positives are that I'm covering the best campaigns each week and giving you my personal opinion about them. I have a hard cutoff. It has to have a certain amount of backers for me to consider even covering them. And I think that coverage has been roughly around 1,000. Sometimes I'll dip lower if it's a game that I was surprised that it's not doing better, or something I still was interested in. There was one that just recently, Chaos Cove, that was like that. So I talk about it, but for the most part, you have to have at minimum 1,000 backers for me to really consider the campaign for the Back or Skip series. And that's mostly for my sanity's sake. You can cover hundreds of games that no one really cares about. In covering a game, when I talk about covering a game, it takes me hours to do one of those videos, because I have to really make sure I'm diving into every campaign, make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Sometimes look into campaigns that I didn't look into because they didn't interest me or whatever. So I want to make sure I know what I'm talking about and give you guys an opinion, even if it's not a game I'm interested in. So the cons with that is the original series was derived from me going from games that I was interested in. But the problem is that there was times where I'd have 5 games to talk about, because here's 5 campaigns in the middle of July that I really am excited about, to like 3 months of nothing that I truly wanted to talk about. And the series that was supposed to be a bi-weekly series was not having any uploads. And then if you don't do anything for a while, that's how a series gets killed, because you forget about it and you just move on with your channel upload schedule. So, alternatively, I then have to look at games that I'm not necessarily interested in, but make sure I'm giving you guys, a fair and balanced overview, because that's my thing, is I always want to be as fair and balanced for every game as I can be. So that's the skip or back. I also did a series of In Case You Missed It, which was a late pledge discussion of all the games that were open for late pledge in that past month. So if I did a video on September 1st, it would cover all the games that were opened for their late pledge in August. And I did that for about 5 months. I've been very consistent with that. And I found that the views on those videos started off really high and then have petered off as I've gone through. And I wondered if it would be a better thing to do quarterly and just do like the top 20 or top 15 late pledges. I'm not sure. We'll need to, go through and kind of figure out and look at the analytics on it. It's also a lot of work to do those late pledge videos, a lot more work to dig out and find out where late pledges are, what's open and whatnot. It's a ton of work. So I decided not to do one in December because of that reason, and also just the analytics weren't rewarding in terms of the time to effort ratio. But we'll see. Maybe we'll do a quarterly series of In Case You Missed It, which kind of makes more sense, because it's like, hey, here's everything in the last quarter, 3 months or so that you might not know about. So maybe we'll do that. I would like to get your guys' opinion. That's also kind of the point of this video, kind of talk about what I have, and then at the end, get your guys' opinion. Plans for 2024. Of course, we want to grow the channel. My original channel growth idea this year was to hit 10,000 subscribers. We are very close, and if we keep with our trajectory of 1,500 subscribers, we will hit that number. It's about me making sure I'm doing content that is engaging and rewarding and fun for my subscribers and new viewers to have them join. So that is going to be the goal again. We need to hit 10,000 subscribers to keep the train moving and to see where we can take this idea and this passion project that I've been running for the last few years. It's kind of unbelievable that I started this at the beginning of 2020, converted my channel from a board game channel that was talking about Star Wars miniature games into a full-fledged board game channel, and it's been very, very well, doing well. So that's the goal. I also I have a minimum view count right now that I like to see videos hit. I like to get videos at a minimum 1,000 views. That is kind of like a mental thing for me that kind of says, yes, this video was appreciated and people liked it, and you did a topic or subject that people wanted to see. I would love to see that ratio get closer to 2,000, but right now I'm still not even hitting that 1,000 mark on every video. So if I can hit every video at 1,000, I think I'll be successful, and then we could start aiming higher for like 2,000 or something. But that just means I got to put out better content, more consistent content, and get people excited for my videos. So that's kind of the idea for that. In terms of traveling, Dice Tower West is already booked. We'll be going down there. This is mostly for gameplay aspirations. I already have an idea now of what to expect to go down there. I'll still do some business because that's part of what I have to do to keep this going. But it's also going to be down there to be playing and having fun. I'm looking forward to doing some escape rooms. I'm very much looking forward to the sushi restaurant we went to, and I'm looking forward to a pizza joint that I went to last year with the Dice Tower crew. I would love to meet some of you guys down there as well, and potentially host like a Blow on the Clock Tower game or something. So that's kind of in line for Dice Tower West. I have applied to the Gamma media event, I guess you could say. Gamma is a convention mostly for publishers, but it's the Game Makers Association of America, I believe. And it's mostly for publishers to talk about their new products and what they're coming out with. And 2 years ago, they invited content creators and journalists to get a chance to come down there and also see the games and talk about them, which I think like that should be obvious. Like, why aren't you doing that anyways? But the problem is you have to be approved through this program to go. And so the last 2 years, I tried my hardest to get in, not knowing how it worked. But this year, Alex actually helped me out and sent me the application as soon as it came up. So I've applied for that. Now the problem is it also kind of coincides with Dice Tower West. It's like from it's like March 4th to the 6th, and Dice Tower, or like March 4th to the 7th, and Dice Tower is like the 6th to the 10th. So we'll have to figure it out, but I'm not even sure I'll even get in. But that would be great to go that. Level Up Retreat is this February, I believe. I've been invited again to be a special guest, but I haven't accepted it yet because it's really going to depend on Gamma as well, and what I can do. I'd love to go. I would love to go. It's just a lot of money, and I also want to go to PAX East, which is also in Philadelphia. So I have to kind of consider, what can I do? What's the best for my channel? In terms of Gen Con, my wife really wants me to go to Gen Con again. She thinks it was valuable for my business, and I've already experienced it, so I have an idea of what to do next year. I'm not sure if I want to do it again, and I'm like, do I get just a better experience going to PAX East instead of Gen Con? I know it's not as big, but being bigger doesn't necessarily mean better, because it was also really chaotic at Gen Con. So that's going to wrap it up. We're also going to be talking about some movies and some games. Let's see here. I wanted to do this earlier. I forgot to do this. Let's look at games and played. Well, we can kind of talk about some of these games. So my most played game this year might be easy for you guys to know. That was Blood on the Clock Tower. I had 21 plays of Blood on the Clock Tower recorded. I probably have played more than that because I don't always remember to record Blood on the Clock Tower because it's not like a sit-down board game, right? So I sometimes forget to record. I also had Marvel Champions, a card game, came in my next highest played game. That's a lot of solo games, but I did play a few games with two other friends. Dude Imperium came in my next highest played, which was great. It's unfortunate because we have also Dude Imperium here, and then we have Dude Imperium Rise of Ix. I'm not sure why it's doing that. Next was Outsworn into the Deepwood. Again, not a game I'm registering all the time because it only registers 12 plays, but we're on chapter 16 now, so I need to make sure I'm updating that. And then from there, Kemet came in quite a bit. Marvel Dice Throne surprisingly came in quite a bit. Raw, don't register enough Raw because it says 6 plays this year. I have way more plays than that because I feel like we play it all the time. Too Many Bones, Stars Vicarios, those are mostly at the beginning of the year when those are played. So that's kind of some looking at like my most played games. And we got a bunch of solo like single hitters, mostly because we'll play like Red Rising once or twice, Apiary. Just got Dune, Imperium Rising. I don't even record this. I play this with my daughter, but I don't even record it because I'm like, are we even playing it? I don't know. It's just kind of messing around. So let's wrap this up. I'm going to be ending the video, but before we do, I'm also going to be talking about some movies that I've been watching and some TV series. So if you are interested in hearing me talk about what I've been watching the past month, not all year, just the past month, you're more than welcome to stay and have that conversation. Otherwise, I appreciate you guys for watching the channel, and thank you for being a part of Game Brigade and all the things. So, let's talk movies. We had a really good, interesting month of movies that I've watched. After Thanksgiving, I went and saw Napoleon. I was very, very looking forward to seeing Napoleon. The trailer looked absolutely incredible. It looked like a movie that I would just love. And so I went with my mom because my wife and daughter were visiting her parents for Thanksgiving. So went with my mom, and I will say that Napoleon was probably my biggest disappointment of the year. The movie is just a bad, mediocre movie. I mean, just in general, the way the movie is scripted, the way the movie is laid out is very choppy. It's hard to follow what's going on. You're basically just getting snapshots of Napoleon's life, and while these events that you're seeing mostly did occur, there are some changes to what the actual historical occurrence happened, which is weird because Napoleon had such a crazy life. Like, why do we need to change it for just changing's sake? But the movie was just jumping around all over the place. A lot of people criticized for the Josephine love story, which I didn't necessarily mind, but I can understand, I can get it when you're cutting so much stuff out and then making this portion so big. But Josephine, Napoleon's wife, was a massive part of Napoleon's personality and kind of who he was. So I get the idea there, but man, the movie was just like, I don't know, it was just a bad movie. You know, and people say, oh, well, the combat scenes were great. I'm like, yeah, they were, but I mean, you get 15 minutes of greatness in a two hour, 30-minute movie where it's like, you get like 3 scenes of great, and then it's just bad after that. I then watched Godzilla King of Monsters on Netflix, and didn't realize that this was, I believe, a true sequel to the Godzilla movie that came out like 2015 or 14, something like that. And very much enjoyed it. I actually was like, this is really good. Kind of corny, I get it, but like, it's a Godzilla movie that I really enjoyed, and I enjoyed the tie-in with the first movie, and It felt like there was some good continuity in there, and you actually got to see other monsters on screen doing things, and got to see Godzilla doing his thing. So that was cool. I enjoyed it. There's a new Godzilla movie in theaters right now. I think it's like Godzilla -1 or something, and I've heard really, really good things. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm trying to wrangle my wife to go with me next week. So if it's still in theaters, hopefully I can see that next week. I then saw on Netflix U-571. This is an older movie regarding World War II, and it's talking about capturing a German sub so that you can get access to the Enigma machine or something to that effect. It was an okay movie. Like I remember it being better when I was younger, but watching it now, it was decent. It was an okay watch, but not one that I would really like want to watch again, I guess you would say. I'm a very big World War II buff as it is, so I enjoy movies like that, and I think they did a lot of things fun. But it made me want to go and watch Das Boot again over this, so maybe that's what it is. It's also interesting that they really made it like an American campaign when most of the things that occurred, because if in World War II there were true assaults on German submarines to capture the Enigma machine, but most of them were done by British soldiers or British Marines. So it's just weird that the movie was like focusing on Americans. Like, again, we have true stories of this happening. Why not like do something with that, with the source material? I mean, you could still Hollywood it up, but do some source material with it as well. I don't know. After that, my wife and I watched The Killer, which is also a Netflix movie. It's so funny because I'm like, I don't watch that much Netflix, and here I have 3 movies from Netflix. So The Killer is with Michael Fassbender, and that's director David Fincher. And I really was excited for this one. The trailer looked really good. Michael Fassbender is one of my favorite actors. I just love his delivery style. And The Killer is definitely a different type of movie. It's a good movie, but I would say it's not for everyone. It can definitely be slower and a bit pretentious at times. But I do think it does a very good job of what I believe a real, true modern day assassin's life could be like. So if that sounds interesting to you, be aware that it's a lot of self-dialogue and whatnot inside of it, but it's a good movie. My wife didn't care for it. She thought I was, not the best, and I can understand why, because it was a bit pretentious at times, but still good. And then this week we finished and we watched Memento with Guy Pearce, and that's a Christopher Nolan movie. And I have to tell you guys, Memento was incredible. I haven't watched Memento before. And after watching, I think it was my wife and I watched The Killer together, and I was like, you know what movie I want to watch? I want to watch like a thriller, like a psychological thriller that has a twist, like Prisoners or Shutter Island. Like, I want a movie like that. And so we decided to go on YouTube and look up like the top 10 thrillers or something like that, and Memento was on there. And I've heard of that movie and never watched it. And she's like, oh, we got to watch that movie. So good. I'm not going to get into the plot because if you haven't seen it, I recommend watching it. But just really well done. And it kind of showcases again that like movies just aren't made the same. Dialogue and writing and set direction and scene composition are just not made the same. I feel like, so many movies today have such poorly written dialogue. For example, we're watching Ahsoka right now, and I cringe every time I hear the dialogue. I'm just like, this is like, I get it. Maybe it is written for a 5-year-old, but sometimes I'm like, is this written for a 5-year-old? Like, why is the dialogue so poor? No one talks like this. But what can you say? It's like modern media these days, and maybe I'm asking for too much. I don't know, but I've really much enjoyed going back and watching older movies that are classics, and I'm going to keep doing that as much as I can. And maybe it's my old man coming out. Who knows? Probably is. My 1990s kid sense of sensibilities coming out. So that's it. I'm gonna wrap up. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you for staying till the end and being a part of the community, as I said earlier to the people who dipped out earlier. So thank you guys for watching. Remember, if you like my content, like, subscribe, join the Patreon if that's something you're interested in doing to support the channel further, and join the Discord. Let me know what you guys think. I will talk to you very soon.